So today on Homebrew Terrain, we're going to be taking your cursed city to new heights. I've been trying to put this together for a while now and show you guys how to do this because it really changes the game. Like, fundamentally, it is a huge difference. It makes the game so much cooler. Yeah. This is a pillar. Just regular, straight-up pillar. But it's got the 4 tiles on the top. Oh, yeah, baby! And there's going to be some steps, but we'll deal with the steps later because, you know, one step at a time. I said one step at a time. I did. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a dad. It's okay. I got my dad joke card. It's current. Yeah. So today we're going to be building this guy right here, and I'm going to show you how to put it all together. It is pretty simple, straightforward. It's exactly like you'd think. You just take some cardboard and you glue it up, and you're good to go. But what comes after that is going to have to be an add-on to the rules. So you're going to have to add different rules to your game. You're going to have to homebrew your own rules. And what's going to happen after that is we're going to build bridges and rooftops and buildings, and suddenly your flat board to 1D game is going to go into a full 3-dimensional space. And you're going to have to create rules for, you know, kicking people off of bridges and falling off of buildings and climbing up stuff and doing things that you couldn't do. And it all starts with this little pillar right here. And so we're going to get started with that today, right here on Homebrew Terrain.
Hey, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Homebrew Terrain.
Very simply, here's what I've done. I got this toilet paper roll where you use the toilet paper, and when you're done, you get this thing, right? I mean, you get hundreds of these. You throw them away every day. But it's too bad, really, because these are actually pretty fantastic, and you can use them for all kinds of stuff, including what I'm about to do here. Then what I did was I took a cardboard lid, just off of any Amazon box, and I cut out the 1.5 inch. Remember we talked about the 1.5 inch, and then there's an 1.5 inch, right? So it's just a 4 square 1.5 inch. I mean, that's what I did. And then right here, two of them. I got 2. Why 2? You ask. That's a good question. Because you're gonna put one on the ground like that, and you're gonna put the cardboard on top of it like that, and put the other one on top. That's it. Boom. There you go. Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody. And I'll see you next week. No, okay. I mean, to make it look cool, you know, we're gonna do more to it than that. So, what we're gonna do? We're gonna set this aside. Set that aside. Right. And then I took my scissors in the way. This right here, I just did a little waffles. Remember the same waffle box that I talked to you about? So what I did here is I did this where I use it as a template, and then I just drew the lines across the side here, and I made this right here, which is just a tracing. I just traced out the thing, toilet paper roll. See, that's what I did. And the reason I traced that is because I'm going to cut it out, because it's going to be cool, and here's why. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to run it up like this, and then run it along the inside here. I mean, you could do this with an X-Acto knife if you really wanted to get all crazy on it, but you know, I don't. So there you go. I'm lazy. And I'm just going to cut this out. Obviously, I'm trying to be as accurate as I possibly can be. Oh wait, no, I'm not. I don't really care. Because we're going to slop this with glue anyway. So you're going to take one of these guys like this, and then we're just going to use the Elmer's glue. We're going to glue this guy on like that. Okay? So just like that. You following me, everybody? You in the back? Can you see okay? Alright, I'll move it down a little bit. Oh, wait, oh, come on. Move it up. There we go. Alright, so there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this the ye old, what do you call that? The doom and gloom treatment here. No, the Cursed City treatment, where I'm just going to cut away some of the jags here. I'm just going to continue on making the terrain or the pieces look like they kind of belong to each other. I'm not going to go crazy on this piece though, because I'm not really doing a lot of what do you call that with the thing. I'm not going to be doing a lot of tile work. In fact, I'm not going to be doing any tile work to this piece at all. It's just going to be all sand. And the reason I'm doing it as an all sand thing, like you see here, there's no tile work on the bottom. And the reason I'm doing that is because I need the weight. I want this thing to be very weighty so that it stays down like that. As you build higher and higher, like with something like this, as you build it up, it starts to become more unstable the taller you get. So you typically have to make the base wider and wider and wider. I don't really want to do that. I mean, when I get to the bigger up pieces, I probably will. But in this particular case, I just wanted to make it so that the bottom was a lot more weighty than the top. So that way, if I, you set it on the table, you can kind of just drop it around. It's pretty stable. It's not going to knock over easily. The higher things get, the more unstable they become. So you need to make a bigger base and make them heavier on the bottom. You follow me on that one? Everybody got that? Just basic engineering, simple physics. All right, we got this. Moving on. You guys aren't stupid. I mean, that one guy is, but he's not here right now, so let's just not talk trash about him, all right? All right, thanks. So I'm just going to make some basic cuts here. I'm also going to pull them from the inside out like this, but not too many, because I don't want to destabilize the center any more than I have to. This piece right here, the reason I cut the ring out is really just to kind of grip the toilet paper roll. When I put it down inside there, the hot glue on the outside of this is going to solidify it in place, and I kind of like that. So I don't want to do too much of this on the inside ring. Also, you're going to be covering it in rocks anyway, so you're not really going to see it too much. And I don't want to cut out too much of this because, again, I need it to be heavy and covered in rocks. So then what we do is we flip her over and we give a healthy helping of the Ulmer's glue. You could use hot glue for this if you wanted. I wouldn't hate you for it if you did. You're not violating some sort of homebrew code or something. I don't know. Use whatever you want to adhere this stuff. I just like Elmer's because it's cheap and it's easy and I don't have to plug anything in, and I'm feeling particularly lazy today because I've been running errands all morning. And this is no fun when you're running errands. And you're just tired when you get home. You know what I'm talking about. Grab a beer, build some terrain. Unless you don't like beer or terrain. And then don't do either. I mean, really, you're an adult. Figure it out. Unless you're not an adult. In which case, don't be drinking beer. Gonna jam this together like this on camera where you can see it, because having it not on camera is kind of dumb. So now I just plug this thing in, and now I have to wait for the 20 years for it to heat up. And while we're waiting for this thing to heat up, I'm gonna take this piece here and I'm gonna glue these guys here, here, and here, and here, just like I did with the other ones. Do. Okay, so we're gonna do just the. I know. Shut up. I'm tired. So again, just gonna do the whole yay, making cool blood groove patterns in the thing, because why wouldn't you? Because it just looks cool, and I want to keep this pretty uniform. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You over there in the back, you're still paying attention? Alright, stop texting with your friends and pay attention. This is important stuff here. By important, I mean not really important at all. Okay. This. And if you guys ever have any questions or anything about this stuff and you want to just throw it in the comments, like, hey, how do I, or what did you do when you, or whatever, just keep it clean, because some of y'all, and you know who you are, some of y'all will be like asking things you ought not to be asking, and you know who you are, talking all nasty and filth. Yeah, talking to you, Mom. One thing that I did want to talk about while I'm cutting all this part out here is the playability of all this. Right now, as it stands, if you try to build this game from scratch like I'm doing, and you already have an existing game, you can actually incorporate the pieces that you have into the game that you're currently running you know, you don't have to wait until it's all done and it's all perfect to kind of reveal it to your friends or whatever. I mean, unless you want to do that, if you're weird like that and that's just how you roll, then fine, that's your business. But if you're like me and you just love playing the game and you want to enjoy it, but you know, you're waiting until you get all this done, that's not good for anybody. So what you do is you just play it as you go. You know, you play the game as it's intended out of the box, and just play it and enjoy it. If you're not, if you don't already have the box and you're just kind of proxying heroes and bad guys or whatever, then you can just take the cardboard and just cut out these pieces like this, and then just draw the squares. And then as you're making it, you know, you just incorporate more and more and more of this into the game as you make it, rather than not playing the game and waiting until it's all done. Because it could take you, you know, weeks or months, depending on how much time you have to do all this. Like for me, I only get to work on this when I'm not working, you know, and I don't have a full-time job, and you know, when I'm doing all this stuff on the side, that's when I get to build this stuff or make these videos. So it's gonna take me personally, it'll take me months to put all this together, and to build the size of game that I really want to build to enjoy the heck out of it. It might even take me a year or more to do that, and by the time I'm done, I'm gonna have one amazing system that can be played for years. I've added, you know, Radikar is pretty bad, you know, but I've added, I don't know, like 8 to 12 more vampire lords that are running different sections of the city. I've exploded the city so that it is now like the size of LA, or LA County, I should say, or at least that big, huge area. It's not a small little, you know, circular city on a windswept island somewhere. It's now this huge and enormous city where Radikar has kind of taken over everything, and your heroes have to fight off all these different vampires. But now they have to balance, you know, the intrigue between the different vampire lords and the Skaven who are coming up from the sewers, and the soul blight guys from whatever, they're the flesh eater courts, that kind of stuff. All of these elements of the game exist now in a game that I've created, and now of course there's the element of the up. So there's the rooftop battles, and then there's the underground sewer battles, and then there's all these different things that are going on simultaneously, and you have to kind of balance all of that as a player. So that, to me, that's a way better game than the one that's currently being on offer. I mean, it's okay, it's great, but it's not the best. Anyway, so that's something I want to talk about really quickly. Is as you're making it, it's perfectly fine to play on just this, you know, and use the pieces as they are, and you can just cut out the cardboard the size you want it to be and make your own tiles that way, and over time build it into something incredible while you're playing. You know what I mean? Alright, I'm just going to glue these guys on here, and we'll come back when it's done. And we're back! Now, as you can see here, see how that's gripping quite nicely? I haven't even glued it yet. I just stuck that in there like that. Now I'm going to put this guy in here, and I'm going to glue it in place with the hot glue, and then that'll be stuck there. And then what I'll do is I'll take this side here, and I'll just glue that one on. This one doesn't have to be pretty in any way, shape, or form, because we're going to be creating this underpiece here where it's all like medical, and it looks like it's been done, you know, bracers and stuff that's been put there on purpose. This is really easy to do. It looks really cool, and it's really simple. All right, sure. We're going to move on to that. But first, we're going to come over here to Senior Hot Glue, which we plugged in earlier, you may recall. I had to unplug the phone here, so there you go. I'm just going to run a really big glob of hot glue here. Check out my hot globulous glue. Remember how I told you not to put like the cuts on the inside, and this is why, because you would end up filling them up with hot glue anyway. So now we're going to take this bad boy here, and we're going to splorch it down into that hot glue, just like that. Now normally I would go through and I would try to clean up on the outside parts like this right here where you see the overspill on the outside. I don't know if you can see that real well. But what I would do is I would normally kind of stripe that off with my finger and burn the crap out of myself. But in this case I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to be filling it up with rocks and kind of running it up the side anyway. You know, like I did here. There we go. So you can kind of see how the rocks kind of stick over the top of that, and it makes it look like it's more seamless. Anyway. So there you have it. That part is done. Now, Now I try to put this on here like this and then kind of just give it as much evenness as I possibly can. Again, just kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be, you know, symmetrically perfect. Okay, no, I'm kidding. It totally does. I'm not the kind of person that will allow anything but hermetrication. Is that even a word? Hermetrication? And now what I'm doing is I'm kind of flexing it out, because cardboard has a tendency to want to warp when you get it wet. And I don't want this to be all warped. It needs to be relatively flat. Because if it's not flat, then your models have what's called wobbly model syndrome, and you don't want them falling off of here. That would suck. So yeah. So now if I take a model, come here, you. Alright. So now I got this lady here. Hello, I'm a lady. 'Cause I'm a lady. Anyway, right here. And so she can stand on here. It's not too wobbly. It's not too bad. That works. Okay, there you go. And therein is, you know, the playable piece at this point. You could actually just play the game with it right now. But we're going to add more to it because we want it to look badass. Alright, so moving on from here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to brick up the top and do all the stuff that we would normally do, and then we're going to add the side pieces. Ooh, side pieces. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so from here, we're going to do some drawing. I'm going to move that out of the way so you can see. Okay, so I've made a flat edge here, or a 90 degree on this piece here. Let me move that out of the way here without causing any problems. There we go. Alright, so I made a 90 degree here and here. Woohoo! And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 3 inches, because that's 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches. Ooh, look at that! And I'm going to come to 3 inches here. I'm going to mark it with my mermaid pen. Look at my mermaid pen. And then I'm going to go up 1.5 inches. I'm going to do that in 3 places. There's 1.5 inches there, and there's 1.5 inches. Ooh, look at that! And then there's one over right there. Okay, then we draw this line here. I'm drawing the line. Okay, boom, just like that. And then we'll come to here, and we'll go, look at me with boom, like that. Okay, now we're going to make ourselves a rectangle. This is basically 2 squares of the dealio. So if you look right here, it's these 2 squares at the top. Boom, boom, 3 inches. And if I go to cover them up with this, oh, look at that, it matches. Ooh, look at me and my bad self. Okay, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to cut this bad boy out like this. And then like this. Again, this is just the, you know, the waffles, the waffle box, waffles, and yeah, see, that was just, and so cereal box, you know, hot chocolate, whatever, it doesn't matter, tea, it's all good. We're gonna make it so that this piece here is gonna fit right here, and then roll it this way, but we need to cut out that center piece. Sure. What we're gonna do now is take a toilet paper roll. Look at my toilet paper roll. Okay, and then. And we're going to do some modifications to this on the fly. But we're going to say that we want to use which side? Boom, like that. Okay, so we'll do it like this. And again, this isn't perfect. So we're going to make it about a halfway point here. So right about there. Then we're going to go ahead and take this and draw it like that, little half circle. I'm hoping that's close. It's close enough, right? Is that close? That looks close. That looks good, right? I mean, why not? Let's measure it. I mean, I shouldn't, but I'm going to, because every time I measure it, I'm like, oh no, It's not perfect. And then I have to make it perfect. That's actually pretty close to perfect. Alright, well, there you go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this bad boy here and we're going to cut it out. Oh, look at the ring I'm cutting out. So you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Ta-da! I remember exactly how I cut it though, so I think I screwed this one up. Oh well. C'est la vie. I cut it too deep. I should have made it more shallow. A more shallow cut. That's just the way it goes. Alright, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it in a diagonally, like this, and then like this, like that, and so that when we're done, we've got something that looks like this. And that's what we're going for here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, make sure we're holding it the right way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this right here, and we're going to glue it onto the side right here and right there. Yay for me and glue. There you go. And it's going to look like that. Well, so we can get it as a camera here. And it's going to look like that when we're done. Yay. Right. 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 My guest co-host today, Sasha.
Well,
say hello, Sasha.
hello.
He's eating waffles.
Yeah, the waffles that you use.
The very same waffles that I used to make all of this. So without Sasha's waffle habit, none of this would be possible. So we'd like to thank today's sponsor.
Oh my god. Kroger waffles.
Kroger waffles. You know what? I'm sorry, but they're better than Eggo. I said it. There it is.
Yeah, they are.
I
The only good Eggo waffles are the chocolate ones. And the ones with the cinnamon. Those are really good.
I like the cinnamon ones. Those ones are good. Yeah. That's the thing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's what we're gonna do. So I have 4 of these cut out. What I did was I measured up 1, and then I used that as the template to cut out the remaining 4. Then I created 4 of these. Now this is the same thing. Again, just cut out of the waffle box. You just measure it along here. Look at that. My fingers are amazing, aren't they? And so you just measure it along there like that, and that's how it's gonna go. And I cut out 4 of them, so you just glue them. Camera. I cut out 4 of them, and you're just gonna glue them together like this, and so there you go. And we'll do it one step at a time. Here we go. Alrighty. So, flip it upside down, because having it upside down is important. And then we're just going to run a bead of hot glue right along the top lip right there. And then we're going to set the hot glue over here, not on our brushes. I still can't believe I did that. Alright, moving on. And then boom, like this. We're going to hot glue that in place. Okay, as you can see here, I've got it all glued in place. Now you got these big gaps though, right here and on every corner. So what we're gonna do here is we're literally gonna cut out a triangle shaped strip, and we're gonna glue that straight on here, and it'll look like the bracing piece that you see here. Yay for bracing piece. And that's basically what that's gonna look like. So they have this little strip that goes from the top to the bottom. That's why that's there. It covers up that gap. Just take a little strip of cardboard like this from the box, and then you would just glue it on place. So what I do is fold it in half. You're gonna fold it in half like this. And then I would just cut it into like that. So so that it looks kind of like that. And each one of these will be individual in size, like, so you can't just use it as a template and cut out all the rest. Maybe, yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, I mean, you could, but it'll be off on a lot of them, but you can adjust it, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use this piece right here, glue it in place, and I'll adjust each piece as I need to. Alright, and I'm just going to hot glue these guys in place and we'll call it good, and it'll look something like that when it's done. I'm going to trim off the edge right there at the end, see, and that'll be that. Now this little tippy piece right here doesn't have to be perfect at all, because we're going to have that other piece that hangs down there and covers it up. So I'm just going to use my scissors here to kind of trim it away. Like that. And there we go. That is the bracer piece. And I'm going to do that all the way around to the other side. Here we have it with the pieces completely glued in place. And yes, there's still a big gap right here, but honestly no one's going to see it, and we're going to put some other stuff there to run trim and things along the way. So like if you look here, I did that with a piece here. There we go. Here, you can't see it. There's a little piece inside of here that I ran to be a stopgap, but even then there's still gaps. Lighting, there we go. There's still gaps in there, so you can still see that, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be perfect. And again, because it's going to be sitting on the table like this, and most people are going to see it like this, they're not going to actually flip it over and like super inspect it. And if they are, then let's be real, you don't want to hang out with those people anyway. You know, those people suck. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the 4 pieces that we cut like these, and we're going to just glue them onto the side. Just like that. Boom. That's how we're going to do it. So you just take a little bit of hot glue and you just run it down the side like this. Ta-da! With the hot glue. And boom. And then you put this there. And then, you try to pick it up. You get the piece like this. And then you stick it on the model like that. And this one you kind of want to line up as best you can. Because you're going to have all 4 pieces kind of come together. And there you go. You're going to line them up like that. So it'll look like that. Yay for like that. And then we're just going to do that on all the rest of the sides. And I will show you what that looks like when we're done. Okay, last one. Just going to smorgasbord board that in place. Now you're going to want to put the hot glue along the tip of the one that you put on previously like this. That way you can run kind of stick together there. You're going to end up having to use a little bit of Elmer's in the end to do that like this. Torching it on there. Hang it up. That's the hard part, is lining up these tips. Like I said, in the end, you're going to end up using Elmer's glue on the tip pieces. But ultimately, there you go. So now, we're at the hardest part of the whole thing, adding the bricks. And again, at this point, you're totally good to just play it like it is, right? You could just run it just like this, paint it up and call it good, if you wanted to. You know what I mean? So, to get it like this though, now what we have to do is the exact same thing that we've done on all of the all of them so far. We're gonna go ahead and individually glue on 1,000 bricks, and we're gonna do it up there, and then we're gonna add all the gravel to it the way we did to the other ones. In this particular case, though, with this one, what we're gonna do is we're literally going to just slather this base in Elmer's glue, and then just dunk it into the sand and let it absorb as much as we can. We'll run up a little bit up on here, but we're going to do all of that after we add the bricks. So I'm going to go ahead and add bricks on here, and it'll take me probably until tomorrow before I get them all finished. Okay, so as you can see, the bricking is going along quite nicely. Yes. Okay. But one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of trim to the top of this thing, so it looks like this. It's all fanciful. Okay, there's a lot of ways you can do this. This one here, I just straight freehanded it. I just took a ruler, drew a straight line across the thing, and then I just drew little half circles and cut them out that way. And that's why you see like this. And it worked out really well for this one, but it's a lot easier for this one. We're going to go ahead and do it a little bit differently. I'll show you how. Here we go. So here I have, this is just a fiber castle thingy that came with a comic book dealio a long time ago. You do the same thing with legit any ruler. Just a straight edge. That's all you need. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to draw me a straight edge just like this. Ooh-da-da. Oops. Don't let it slide around though, because that causes problems. Okay. There's my straight edge. Okay, whatever. More straight edge and like that. Okay. Now I'm just going to use this pre-template dealio on here because, you know, why wouldn't I? And I'm going to start by just making a little half circle right here. You can use a penny, or like the last time I did the guy, I think I used a quarter on this one, or a nickel. I used a nickel on this one to make these semicircles. I just traced a nickel and stripped it out of this stuff. So there you go. I'm making sure that it's roughly the same width in the middle. I've got this little piece right here that's giving me a pretty decent width in between them. It's not going to be perfect, and quite honestly, I don't really care if it is. Kind of not what I'm going for here. Again, this is supposed to be a creepy, dark city that's all grim, dark, and slightly Cthulhistic. You know, the cursed city and all. So the architecture will definitely reflect that. You know, maybe if you really want to get down with it, you can make it look like it was perfect at one time, you know, but you don't really want it to be that way anymore. You want the city to really kind of have an air of it's been beat to hell. Now, I'm going to start working soon on an expansion for this whole set that I'm making. The next big vampire that you're going to encounter here. Really, I've just gone back to the beginning and reimagined everything. Here's a map, kind of give you a sneak peek of where I'm headed with all of this. All the Games Workshop gave us to go off of in the beginning was this little circular area in the middle where the castle sits, and there's like graveyards and some other stuff. But I mean, as far as a huge city is concerned, not so much. It's like Diet Mordheim, I guess. The way that the city is described in the books and the lore is that it's huge. Unfortunately, the way it's drawn and the way it plays through is it's just kind of like a small hamlet stuck on an island somewhere. But the fact is, it's not. It's supposed to be enormous. This was a giant city right near a realm gate, and it was supposedly the center of trade and commerce. It was a huge, huge city. So what I did was I looked at LA, like LA County, and I was like, well, if it's going to be like that, then let's just make it a huge city like LA. So I went ahead and blew it out, and as you can see here, there it is. Boom. Is that each province is going to be run by its own vampire lord with its own set of missions and its own little gribblies, and there's going to be more and more each time. And I'm using Etsy to get a lot of models for this because Games Workshop has been it's been really hard to get a hold of any sort of vampire models from Games Workshop. I was going to use the Underworld set, but that disappeared overnight. And if you want to spend $100 on 4 models, then yeah, you can get it off of the scalper sites, but forget that. So I've just been pulling them off of Etsy, and let's be real, Etsy's got some pretty scarily cool stuff on there, and you can buy them for like $5 a model. So there you go. So each one of these little dotted areas that you see here is going to be its own vampire lord with all kinds of cool stuff on it. Of course, there's a little small forest going on there where you're going to run into the Sylvaneth, because how cool would that be? So this is the model that I created for the Monique Altatore. And she's going to be the secondary version of Radukar and her living ethereal whip. So when we get to her section of the city and the tiles and the pieces that we're going to build there, they're going to be a lot more put together. They're going to be a lot more, instead of being like these cruddy bricks that are all broken in ramshackle, her section of the city is going to be very pretty and very marbleized and very expensive. And everything there is going to have statues and gold and pretty bits. You know, so when you have to go and contend with her, which of course there's plot reasons why the heroes have to take her down, because she's like, she pretends to be one thing on the outside, but inside she's just like all the others. And so yeah, you got to take her down. But anyway, when you get there, that whole part of the city is going to be very bougie and very pretty. And so I'm planning on making some scenery pieces and terrain pieces for the game there, and some of her gribblies and monsters will be much more refined than the bestial critters that you're dealing with from Radukar. So look forward to seeing different pieces of terrain or different tile pieces that aren't all junky and like marble slabs and stuff like that. Some really cool tricks that you can do with sponges and things like that to create kind of a marbleized effect on things. It's kind of cool. You paint it white and then you throw some gray paint on a sponge. So there we go. I went ahead and cut that out, and there it is. Ta-da! See, it's just part of the waffle box. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this piece here, and all we do is just lay it down, and then we just wrap it around. Just wrap it around till it meets itself somewhere, like that. Trying to get a good angle on this. There we go. Till it meets itself like that, and then you just cut it and glue it. So what I'm going to do when I hot glue this, by the way, I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue right here on the end, and I'm going to hot glue this guy down as an anchor right here. And then I'm going to take Elmer's glue, and I'm going to smear this whole thing in Elmer's glue, and then I'm going to anchor this right here with another piece of hot glue, and then boom, it'll sit like that, and it won't come undone. And the Elmer's will have its own time to dry, and that's how you do it. Here we have it, and it's all bricked in and ready for painting. I'm going to go ahead and take this outside here and give it a quick spray paint and get it ready to be painted up. and then I'll show you guys how I paint it. I mean, I've already shown you guys like a bajillion times how I've done this kind of a paint job. And I always constantly refer to you guys the other video that I did where I made the tiles, and this one's pretty much the same way. And I'm keeping the theme the same because I want to have the city look like it's all supposed to be one big thing. But as time goes on here, I'm going to go ahead and start changing things up. I'm going to experiment with these guys here in making like a marbleized tile rather than a brick tile, just to see if it'll look cool. If not, then, you know, we'll throw it away and do something else, because really it's just cardboard. All right. Anyway, but yeah, I have plans for the, you know, making the really fancy part of the city, and so I'm gonna try to do it more like this with marbleized stuff. So we'll see how that works. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm gonna get about 10 to 12 of these pillars here that I'm gonna make up, because I want to be able to run a series of bridge works through them, and basically making a skyway through the city. And that's kind of what we're going for here, because I'm thinking of the next video that I'm going to do here for you guys. I'm going to show you how to make the bridge work that goes between the pillars. And then, of course, there's the stairs. The stairs that I have right now are these guys right here. And it's just a series of boxes that, of course, you make. But then again, you know, I'm going to do all the brickwork to it. But I put a door on here, like this one here, and I'm going to have little sewer grates going down. And I want to make it look like if you want to go into the sewers, that's this place here. Because, like I said, there's going to be an entire sewer system in this game here, where you have to go on and fight with, like, Skaven and other nasty creepy crawlies. Okay, so here's a regular tile right here, and you've got your little duder coming in from Duderville. And she's just like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Now she can go 1, 2, 3, you know, and she has to take each one of these steps to get to here by the camera. Hi, camera. And then she'd jump over to here, and then she'd move from, you know, like there'd be movement there, and then you'd have a bridge that would go from, you know, there to there and stuff. So anyway, that's going to be all that works. So this is kind of what I'm using right now. I really want to work very hard on getting a series of spiral staircases so that I can make one of these, but it's got a built-in set of spiral stairs that goes like this across the tile. I'm going to work on that next, and when I get that put together, I'll show you guys how that one works. It's kind of like, you know, your errata to this one here. I like these guys here without any stairs on them, though, because it makes them modular, and I can kind of put them anywhere. And not only that, but they also make great terrain pieces for other games as well, because they are relatively small. You can just throw this in a game of, I don't know, like Malifaux or, you know, Infinity or Warcry even. This would be fantastic in Warcry. Or Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40k. It's all there. Anyway, yeah, so jump pack troops could land on this. So, I mean, it's all there. It's great. It's, you know, and again, it costs you literally nothing because it's toilet paper roll covered in cardboard and sand and dirt. Here it is, all primed up, ready to be painted. I'm just going to do the same thing that I did before in all the other ones. And now I know I've said this before, as far as what paints and stuff I use, but let me go ahead and kind of just walk through it really quickly again, for those of you who are just too lazy. So here's the colors basically that I use to make it look like this. What I do is I start off with a wash of the climatic blue. When I'm done with that, I'll hit the gravel areas or the rock areas with the Aramon blue. Then I go through and I give it a wash of Agrax Earthshade. And then I hit it with this gray color that I created myself. It's basically just this color here. Then I just mixed white into it until it became a light gray instead of a medium gray. And that's it. And when I'm done with that, that's the dry brush at the end. So the highlights that you see here, as I'm knocking stuff around. So what you're seeing here, the blues that you're seeing are the achromatic contrast paint. And then the Aramon blue is what I use to paint all the gravelly bits, like down in here. I use the Aramon blue. And then when I hit it with the Agrax Earthshade, it kind of takes on this sort of a grimy look to it, which kind of gives it that sort of cool, grimy look. Now, when you see this on camera, for whatever reason, the camera doesn't have the ability to show off the hues and highlights that you'd actually see on the model. And so then this right here is really, really easy. I just use a metallic bronze paint. It's just this stuff here. Ooh, hello. It's just this stuff here. It's the antique copper from Folk Art. It's again, it's a cheapy paint, but it's really good. It works really well. And then I just hit it with Agrax Earthshade. So then I hit it with some Earthshade, and it's good to go. And it gives you this kind of, there we go. It's hard to do this when you're doing with just a camera. It gives it this kind of rusted, kind of worn metal look. And I like that. That makes me happy. Full of joy and laughter. Anyway, and then of course that's just the blood that I use. And I just use the contrast paint for that, the Blood Angel. Where is it? There we go. Then I just use the Blood Angel contrast paint. This stuff's really good. It looks legit like blood. So like when you're looking at models and stuff, like this lovely lady here, there we go. What's in her cup and her hair. And again, the camera doesn't really pick it up very well. It's actually a little more vibrant than you're seeing on the camera. I'm just gonna paint this stuff on here. You guys don't want to watch me paint this. It's gonna be really boring. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Well, it's gonna look like it's gonna look like that. So there you go. One of the things that's really important that I want to point out is that I painted the top. So see the top right here. I painted the top really quickly, and I haven't painted anything else. And I've put in the Athematic blue contrast paint. I use that to paint the top. Just use my brush here. But I'm letting all of this dry before I start to paint anything else. Because if I don't, and see how it's pooled up, like there's like a really dark splotch right there? It's kind of auto-highlighted. That's kind of what contrast paint does. It kind of pools and highlights on its own. Like it thins out really good in some places and it pools and highlights. If you were to turn this model over so that you could paint the bottom parts down here, or even paint this part down here, it would run. Everything would run and drip off that way, or whichever way you're doing it. And so you would lose all of that really cool kind of puddling or pooling that it does. So I'm going to say paint the top first, let it dry, and then paint, like you're going to flip it over and paint on the side. You're going to paint this down on this area here, but you can do the same thing. Let it dry and then roll it over on another side and paint the next of it, paint the rest of it. And let it kind of dry and pool in certain areas. Otherwise, if you do it just straight up, like this one here, I painted all of this up, and you see the pooling is kind of down towards the bottom of the bricks, like especially with this one right here. You get to see that pooling kind of happen that way. It looks okay. It doesn't look too terrible. But I actually ended up going back over it later and doing a lot of highlight and dry brushing to it. Because I ended up kind of pooling it that way. I think it looked a lot better on here, this one decorative piece, before I set it up right. and then I watched it all kind of just run down, and I was like, oh, yeah. So yeah, the best thing to do at this point is to just paint it in sections and let it dry, and then go back and do the highlighting and all the other bits. So you can see I've got the Athematic blue is already set up and pretty well painted on there. It's not completely dry yet, but that's fine because I'm not going to be doing any of the Aramon blue on any other part of this except for the gravel, which is going to be here, and then of course this entire base piece here. So all I'm going to do here is grab a little bit of this and just paint it on. And I'm going to do that across this entire piece here. And anywhere up on top of here, like I'll be painting like this part here of the gravel. And you don't really get to see the difference too much when you're doing this on the camera. You don't see like the shades difference too much between the blue, the Aramon blue and the Athematic blue. But once I go through and I start to hit this with Agrax Earthshade, it changes very significantly between those two colors. And here we have it all Aramon blued. And I even went ahead and painted the copper on the bottom. So all I did was literally just take the copper paint and paint it on the bottom. And now I'm going to smear Agrax Earthshade all over this thing and just kind of let it pool and dry however it does. And then after that, we'll go ahead and we'll hit it with a dry brush of the gray, throw some splotchy red blood marks on it, and call it good. So here it is with the Agrax Earthshade. You can see it here. It looks a lot darker and more gritty grim. And so what I'm going to do here after it's over, or it's dry actually, because it's still very wet. That's why it looks all slick and shiny. Once it's all dried up, then I will go ahead and dry brush it with the gray and highlight it with the red, and we'll be good to go. And here it is, the finished product. Completed with a big blood splatter. Splorch, something really bad happened here. We're gonna make a fancier bridge, because fancy bridges are cool. Okay, so here it is, the final pillar completely put into place here. Kind of just get a quick look at it, and let's cue the cool music and do the flyby. Feeling cute. Might delete it later. Hi there. How you doing? Good to see you. Glad you came. All right. Anybody see my dog Blue? No? Okay. Yeah. Hair looks like trash. But you know what? I don't care. I really don't care what I look like, because it's not about me. It's not the money maker. This is. Right. Welcome back to Homebrew Terrain. Today, what is this for? Curse City, that's right. We're doing Curse City stuff today. Curse City. See, it's funny, because when I look at the camera, right here, that's where the camera is, right? But then to look at the screen where I'm actually seeing my own face, which is, you know, much more entertaining to me than looking at a black dot. Hi, black dot. There's this, and so I'm kind of like doing the whole looking off to the corner thing. Today on Homebrew Terrain, like I'm talking to a group of people and you just happen to be in the wings. I hate that. That's so dumb. Because I'm not talking to other people off in the whatever. I'm talking to you. That's right. You. That's right. You. Just me and you hanging out, building terrain. It's not a big deal. Why gotta make it weird?